بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. والفجر وليال عشر والشفع والوتر والليل إذا يسر والفجر وليال عشر والشفع والوتر والليل إذا يسر هل في ذلك قسم لذي حجر ألم تر كيف فعل ربك بعاد إرم ذات العماد التي لم يخلق مثلها في البلاد وثمود الذين جابوا الصخر بالواد وفرعون ذي الأوتاد الذين طغوا في البلاد فأكثروا فيها الفساد فصب عليهم ربك سوط عذاب إن ربك لبالمرصاد فأما الإنسان إذا ما ابتلاه ربه فأكرمه ونعمه فيقول ربي أكرمن وأما إذا ما ابتلاه فقدر عليه رزقه فيقول ربي أهانن كلا بل لا تكرمون اليتيم ولا تحاضون على طعام المسكين وتأكلون التراث أكلا لما وتحبون المال حبا جما كلا إذا دكت الأرض دكا دكا وجاء ربك والملك صفا صفا وجيء يومئذ يومئذ بجهنم يومئذ يتذكر الإنسان وأنى له الذكرى يقول يا ليتني قدمت لحياتي فيومئذ لا يعذب عذابه أحد ولا يوثق وثاقه أحد يا أيتها النفس المطمئنة ارجعي إلى ربك راضية مرضية فادخلي في عبادي وادخلي جنتي آمنت بالله صدق الله العلي العظيم وصلى الله على محمد وآله الطيبين الطاهرين
اللهم صل على محمد أفلح صل على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. الثانية غفر الله لكم. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. على محبة أبي عبد الله الثالث. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
صلوا على محمد وآل محمد.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
ثانيا على محبة الحسن والحسين.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
ثالثا على محبة الزهراء فاطمة بأعلى أصواتكم.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين سيدنا ومولانا وحبيب قلوبنا وشفيع ذنوبنا أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
وعلى آل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين. أتقدم إلى ساحة قداسة ولي الله الأعظم وأعزيه وأعزي العالم الإسلامي وجميع مراجعنا العظام وأعزيكم إخوتي وأخواتي الكرام بهذا المصاب الجلل سائلين المولى عز وجل أن يثبتنا على منهاج الإمام الحسين سلام الله عليه ذلك المنهاج المقدس المنهاج الإصلاحي وذلك ببركة الصلاة على محمد وآل محمد.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
Respected scholars, fathers, brothers, sisters in faith and in humanity, my equals in humanity, I would like to begin by extending my deepest condolences to you, to the Islamic civilization, to the Imam of our time, on this tragic occasion and event, the tragedy of Karbala. This tragedy in which reflected greatly upon the Islamic civilization in terms of essences and teachings. We ask Allah to help us in this month to carry out our responsibility towards the Ahlul Bayt, peace and blessings upon them, and towards you, brothers and sisters. Before I begin and discuss my topics, I wanted to mention that we have 10 days right now, or at least I have 10 days of giving lectures. And what I like to do is, before I begin my lecture, I usually give and present the topic that I'm going to speak about, mainly because I believe it makes the the building blocks of the idea in which I present easily. So I give my topic, which is basically the foundation, and then you can build upon it. For sure, the individuals over here, my brothers and sisters who have taken an English course before, they've studied a novel like Macbeth or Frankenstein or any other novel. I'm sure that your teacher has asked you to isolate and to find themes within the novel, the story, which could be revenge, which could be seeking power, which could be lust. It depends. Similarly, Karbala, this battle, and I call it a war, an ideological war. This battle of Karbala holds several themes and many essences. That being said, inshallah ta'ala, I'm going to be discussing several topics and several themes the next 10 days. Some of them I'll be covering, inshallah, today. Imam Hussain and his movement of Reformation. The upcoming days I'm going to be covering things like what makes a personality strong and what makes a personality weak, and the differences. Other days I'm going to be discussing how theories frame our mentalities and our understandings. On other days I'm going to be discussing social collaborations, etc. A lot of us, unfortunately, many people, when they look at the tragedy of Karbala, they view it as something, normal, something that comes by and passes by every year. Something that is easy, something that is, just go with the flow. No. Karbala, because a lot of people nowadays, unfortunately, they practice this, they say this. They say, oh, Imam Hussain, he was the Imam of his time, and thus this is his responsibility towards the Islamic civilization to go and die. This is his responsibility. Others say, well, this is something logical. If he went out with an army of 72 people against an army of 100,000, then this is common sense, and it's logical that he will lose the battle. What do you expect? Others say this, others say that. So it became an idea that is debatable, unfortunately. Neglecting the fact that this is a divinely appointed concept. This individual is a divinely appointed entity. Anyways, so if we were confronted right now and asked, alaykum assalam wa rahmatullah, if we were confronted by any individual and asked, okay, tell me, oh Ali, Abbas, Hussein, whoever you are, tell me, what did you learn from Karbala, or what is the philosophy of this movement of Imam Hussain alayhi salam? What do you do? Imam Hussain himself answers, he says, إني لم أخرج أشرا ولا بطرا ولا مفسدا ولا ظالما وإنما خرجت لطلب الإصلاح في أمة جدي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم. Long story short, what this means, he's saying that I did not come out with this movement for any seek of corruption or to cause disturbances within society. I came out for one reason, لطلب الإصلاح. This is very crucial. He's saying that I came out to reform. Reform what? Ummatu Jaddi Muhammad. Okay, let's stop over here. Reformation, if we look at the linguistic meaning behind this term, reformation is basically taking something and reforming it, changing its form. Whether it's physical or not. Now, that being said, Imam Hussein's vision towards society back then has made him come to a conclusion saying that the society needs to be reformed. Why reformation? The Islamic, unfortunately, and it's very painful and very brutal when we discuss this topic, the Islamic civilization back then, after the Prophet's death, was very, very corrupt, full of conspiracies, full of disloyalty. 50 years after the Prophet's death, approximately, who ruled? Umayyad Caliphates ruled. Imam Hussain, he was asked to pledge allegiance, to say no. And if Imam Hussain pledged allegiance, that means he's done. He has a life of a king, of a leader. They will grant him anything he wants. That being said, Imam Hussain was asked, was pressured to give allegiance, but he didn't. And then an order came down upon Imam Hussain to kill him, even if he held to the cloth on the Kaaba. Okay, now that being said, the individuals who fought Imam Hussain, because this is a very crucial topic we must stop at. The individuals that fought Imam Hussain were Muslims, but were radical Muslims. When Imam Hussain came out, he came out to reform. He came out to bring back and reintroduce the essences of the pure Islam, of the real Islam that the Prophet introduced to the civilization back then. The individuals that called Imam Hussain read the Quran, were people who prayed to God, were people who loved the Prophet, at least they say that. In terms of ideology, but in terms of action, look what they did. And nowadays we can connect this to this era, this time. We have a lot of people who commit suicide or commit a violent act, bombing themselves, killing others in these Western parts of the world, and they're Muslims, believing that God will grant them, eternal heaven, or God will grant them something very special, or heaven, and they call this jihad. In fact, we cannot say they're not Muslims. In fact, they are Muslims. They read the Quran, they pray, they do all these, they practice the pillars of Islam. They're Muslims. But are they civilized Muslims, or are they radical ones? Are they extremists? This is the difference. So the movement of Imam Hussain back then was to establish reformation, was to take the Islam that the society somehow fabricated and reintroduce the true essences, the true teachings of Islam, so that society can proceed safely. What happened to him? He was martyred, he was killed brutally. Now I believe there is one great concept we must focus on right now. A lot of us love to introduce Islam to the Western civilization. Oh, Islam will come and save this religion of peace. Let's talk reality over here. If we introduce Islam to the West, they're not going to see, at least we cannot say it's a religion of peace, because they don't see that. I believe the best way to establish or to introduce Islam to the West is through this great entity, Imam Hussain salamullah alayhi, this great individual. To show ourselves first, and to show others that this certain individual also saw corruption in Muslims back then. And what he did, he took upon himself as a successor of the Prophet, who was divinely ordained. He took upon himself and he went and he stood upon the truth. That's why I don't like when I encounter people and discuss with them and say, oh, those people who are killing themselves are not Muslims. No, you cannot say that. Who are you to say that? They are. But the radical ones, they are not following the real, they're not following the real essences, the real teachings behind Islam. Now we know the philosophy of Imam Hussein's movement. There's one thing I want to introduce to you. What did this battle show us? Was there a lesson other than what he seeked of Reformation? Was there something we learned from? Because right now there is corruption in the Islamic civilizations. And we can see people bombing themselves and killing themselves in the name of Islam. But can we do what he did? We can't. If people confronted us and asked us, okay, we understand why he went out and performed what he did, but did we really learn something from his movement? Was there something he practiced that taught us something? So, two groups clashing with themselves. Just look at this. Two groups clashing with themselves, clashing against each other. And bloodshed, and war, and this climate, atmosphere, and environment is very brutal. And when it's time for Salah, he stops everything and goes to pray. And unfortunately, some of us over here, my respected brothers, it's Salah time and they're playing Fortnite for some reason. Salah time and they're on their Xbox or iPhone or playing games. What does that mean? Imam Hussain was in a very bad condition in Karbala. And the fact that he left everything and went to pray, he wanted to mark something in history, telling us that, I was in the worst condition one can be, but I still submitted to the divine call. There's one great quote I would like to read upon you. A person named Mahatma Gandhi, he's an anti-colonial nationalist and a leader that was assassinated some time ago, like 67 years ago. He's Indian, and when India was under the British rule, he quoted the following. He said, if India wants to be a successful country, it must follow in the footsteps of Imam Hussain. Now, Imam Hussain became a historical figure, not even to us, but to the Western civilizations. Edward Gibbon, a prominent English historian and a member of parliament, he said, in a distant age and climate, the tragic scene of the death of Hussain will awaken the sympathy of the coldest readers. Now, these people are not Muslims. But they understand that this certain individual, he stood up to establish social justice. Some people introduce this. They say, okay, then let me ask you a question. Logically, because a lot of youth right now tend to look at things from the academical lens and the logical lens and the secular point of view because of these Western values that we encounter every single day. They say, okay, he went out with 77 individuals with family, including family and women, against an army of 100,000. Mathematically, what is the probability that he will win the war? Win the battle, sorry, not the war. What is the probability? I heard 0. Mathematically, if we look at things mathematically, It's very, very low. But again, the movement of Imam Hussain, that's why I forgot his name, he's also a historian. He said Imam Hussain lost the battle, but he won the war. Because it's not just something that he clashed with another army. It's an ideological war. These people carry an ideology, a very corrupt one, which allows them to attribute negative, I don't want to mention them, negative attribute to the Prophet, to this divine leader and his household. And you have a very divine ideology over here. What Imam Hussain wanted to establish is to show that this ideology, the divine one, is an ideology that is dominant. This is the real ideology of Islam. You cannot have people play with the essences and the teachings of Islam, and because they're authorities, they establish it as an Islamic norm. No. So back to my topic, why did he go out if he had 77? He went out to show society. Yes, he was 77, but now the population of Shias is 500 million. And every single year, 500 million Shia Muslims commemorate this tragic event of Imam Hussain. And they talk about it, they introduce him to the West, they introduce him to people, they talk about him. Imam Hussain became something that, an individual that 30 million people visit him every single year. Now, what is this called? Ideologically, he won the war. Ideologically, no people. Ideologically, right now, we can conclude that Imam Hussain salamullah alayhi, he won the war. He has us as followers, as lovers, and we talk about him, mention him, grieve every single year. I believe that Imam Hussain alayhi salam must be introduced under a new name. We call him Imam Hussain alayhi salam. I like to call him Islam's social and ideological reformist. I want to give this name to him. Because what he stood for, no country, no power, no authority will act or accept how Imam Hussain acted. If you introduce this theology, this movement, to a national security agency, to a government, to a military, they will say that this movement is very, very unique. 77 against 100,000? What are the chances? Now, this is for us to understand that when Imam Hussain went to pray during these conditions, when it's prayer time, we must leave everything and head to prayer. I want to stop on this topic. I have 10 minutes. I want to stop and discuss prayer for a bit. Our topic today is very history-based. I know sometimes history gets boring, but inshallah, our next lectures are going to be more academical, scientifical, and philosophical. So bear with me, please. Prayer. A lot of us take prayer as something, as a routine. In fact, prayer right now has become an exercise. Ruku', sujood, qiyam. You lose calories. You lose calories when you pray. If you strip salah from the spiritual side, it's going to become a matter of an exercise. Now, how do we treat salah? People look at it as a couple of rak'ahs that you gotta do and practice, and you're done. That's it. Not paying attention to the fact that it is a call for you. God Himself wants to meet you. You say no? If a principal recognizes you as the best student in your school and makes you an ordained individual to a certain task in school, will you say no? If you are granted something very high, will you say no? Then why do some of us say no when it comes to prayer? Why do some of us treat it as something ongoing, something easy, something go with the flow? Why? Is that what we learn from Karbala? We must taste salah. I say that and I mean it. Now some people say, let me taste, feel it, be one with it. Just like you give time. Because this here comes, I can interconnect this topic with respect. When I come here, I respect myself and I respect my elders and my brothers and sisters by wearing proper clothing. When I go eat, I respect the others by eating properly. There's a way of eating. That's called respect. I respect others in class, my teacher, my friends, when I sit and I pay attention and collaborate with the proper skills. Now when it comes to prayer, do you have to respect too or no? Is there a way of doing it? Are there dynamics, or is it just finish it? I've seen people who race in salah, play footsies. Very sad. That's why one of the things Imam Hussain marked for us during Karbala is he left war, his battle, to go pray. We must all strive, every one of us, brothers, sisters, elders, to achieve knowledge, to understand why the movement of Imam Hussain is crucial, what we learned from it. Because right now we are living in the West. And in the West, we encounter several doctrines and ideologies. And if we are asked, what's this, what's that, who's this, we must know how to act. So today we covered Reformation, we covered the essence that we learned from Karbala, which is prayer. This was a topic covering history. Inshallah ta'ala, tomorrow we're going to speak of how theories form our mentalities and how do they form our understandings. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم وصلى الله على محمد وآله الطيبين الطاهرين. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.